It is Friday, June 7th. Let's talk PlayStation. Next up, we have a peculiar situation going on with PlayStation 5's retail box art, where since launch, every single console sold has always had this big, bright yellow 8K logo in the top right corner, right next to the 4K 120 and HDR one. And now it would appear Sony is getting rid of that logo. This was initially spotted by, I believe, John Linneman of Digital Foundry, and then various other sites started talking about this and publishing it as a story, but it does appear to be gone. It's not there on PlayStation Direct either, so it sounds like Sony's finally being a bit more truthful in terms of what PS5 can actually do, which this is something where we can go back to PS5's launch right before the console came out on the PS blog as part of the PS5 FAQ. They did mention that PS5 can support a 8K output, and they'll enable this down the road with a firmware update once more 8K content becomes available, which surely did not happen because there really is no 8K content. And this even goes back to around that time, I said it, many others said it, we were all thinking this, which was, okay, whatever, that's not going to be a thing, because this is a prime example of a big multi-billion-dollar company just slapping something on the box because they can, and it looks nice, it looks fancy, and it looks like the console is future-proofed. But in a way, most people understood realistically that they're either not going to have the TV, or there's going to be nothing to watch or nothing to play. And that has very much been the case this entire way through. The one example we do have for a game is The Tourist, where that game has an internal res of 8K, but it's an internal resolution. So it actually downsamples to 4K because, as we just said, PS5 still to this day does not actually output 8K properly. So the company's probably just doing something where, and there's no doubt in my mind this is what's happening. They're getting rid of it on this console to put it on the PS5 Pro box. There's no doubt in my mind that's what's happening, especially given the dev materials internally does say that, part of what they would like to see happen is 8K resolution at 30 frames per second. Which even that, for PS5 Pro, knowing what we know about that console, the spec sheet, even PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, that's not going to happen either. It's still not going to happen with that console. I would venture a guess. Maybe we'll see certain modestly approached games in the art style, visual department, whatever the case is. Maybe they will do it more frequently, kind of like The Tourist, and then that'll be an example where, a game like The Tourist can properly output it to the full proper 8K resolution. I don't really know. I mean, even if that was the case, it's going to be a very small selection of software. So really the upside to PS5 Pro, as we said, is near 4K image qualities with high frame rates. So yeah, that to me seems like what's happening here, taking it off this console to then throw it on the Pro, if they do intend on actually having some kind of 8K support at that time, which I will say, the company probably was a bit more bullish back then about how much 8K content we would have in 4 years, and not even so much games, right? Strictly static experiences, TV and film, that alone would be enough to put it on the box and justify it and get around any sort of, false advertising accusations. Because I know some are already kind of going there, right, of we've got a class action on our hands, which I'm not a consumer rights lawyer. I don't know if that's actually the case, even though it does seem very misleading and very much false advertising right now. But, I think the company probably did expect we would have more 8K experiences at this point. So not to sort of excuse them of any wrongdoing here. It certainly was misleading, but at least we all knew even 4 years ago, yeah, right, that's not a thing, because 4 years on, even with a Pro coming up, 8K is just not a thing, and if it ever is going to be a thing, probably going to be quite a bit further out, I guess we could say.